Trionona Mai, Ahantanya. I'm just going to get the meeting started here. Okay, I'm just going to bring in John to do the notice and the summons of the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend this monthly meeting of the Council, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically here in the Council Chamber in the Guildhall, Wednesday, 29th of July at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Apologies for Alderman Cook.
Alderman Guy. Alderman Hussey. Alderman Carrigan.
Online, John.
Alderman Lynch.
She's having technical difficulties, but she is trying to get logged on.
Alderman McMorris.
John.
Alderman Montgomery.
Here, John.
Alderman Wilkinson. Councillor Jason Barr. Councillor Lillian Barr.
Here, John, online.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Online, John.
Councillor Boggs.
Shaw, John.
Councillor Boyle.
Here.
Councillor Clark.
Apologies.
Councillor Cusick.
Here, John.
Councillor Devine. Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy.
One shot, online.
Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Apologies.
Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Fleming. Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Harkin.
Shaw.
Councillor Hart.
Handshot.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Hutton. Councillor Jackson.
And Shaw.
Councillor Leonard.
Shaw.
Councillor Logue.
Shaw.
Councillor McDade.
Apologies.
Councillor McGinley.
Shaw.
Councillor McGowan.
Apologies.
Councillor McHugh.
He's coming there now.
Councillor Mooney.
Here.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris.
Apologies.
Councillor O'Farrell.
And Shaw, Lena, John.
Councillor Riley.
Online, John.
Councillor Tierney.
Apologies.
And Councillor Enelis.
Yeah.
Thank you, members.
Garmagat, John. I'm just going to take you through the Ratchis Crealahan, the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone present at this meeting in the Guildhall that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council privacy notice may be found on the Council website www.derrystrabane.com. Okay, I'm just going to open up now for any declarations of members' interests. Okay, it can be raised now or during the meeting, and there's no declarations of interest in the chamber or online. And we're just going to go in to Gra and Kiherly and Nish. We're going to go into the chairperson's business. So I'm going to start off today a wee bit different than normal and just remind any councillors in the room that there are members of Youth Work Alliance or the Youth Work Charter outside, and their kids here as part of the Youth Work Alliance. They are inviting councillors to sign their Youth Work Charter to show their support. This did come up earlier in the month through one of the committees, and it's just really to show individual support, and there's an opportunity there for photographs as well with them. So if anybody hasn't done that, I'm more than happy just to take a couple of minutes for people to go out and sign it. Or if everybody in the chamber has signed it already, then I'll move on with the meeting. Everybody okay? Yeah, no problem. Okay.
Can I ask if people that's online today, will they have an opportunity to sign it at a later date, or is there any method to do that?
Alderman McMorris, I'll take that away and find out for you and I'll let you know, okay? It might be a case of meeting up with them yourself or or they coming to meet you somewhere. I'm not sure, but I will come back to you about that, all right? I am just going to take this opportunity here. There are a couple of councillors that are leaving the room to sign the charter. So I will just take this wee opportunity, just take 5 minutes before we start the meeting. Okay, thank you. I hope that's everybody has been out now and had the opportunity to sign that charter. We're just going to move into Gra and Kyherley and Ish and to chairperson's business just after that one. So personally for myself, I just wanted to raise Foyle Cup and to congratulate the organisers, the volunteers, the staff, the council staff, everybody who has been involved in another successful year of Foyle Cup. With over 100,000 visitors in the district for that particular festival. You know, it has been a very, very busy week. It has had a massive positive economic impact on our city and district and a positive impact on relations, you know, kids making new friends, people coming from all over and facilities being used all over our district as well and outside of our district. So I just wanted to personally come on and say that because I really did feel the real electric buzz that was about this city in the past week. So if anybody else wants to, yep, Alderman Hussey, do you want to come in that as well?
Thank you, Mayor. Totally agree with your remarks. And I think it's amazing the teams that come to the Foyle Cup. But in particular, praise to our local teams who have competed in the competition. And indeed, whether they won competitions or not is not the purpose really of the Foyle Cup. It's the taking part, it's that Olympian spirit, shall we say. And I know from experience of teams and from within my own area who have taken part and not won the top prize, but enjoyed the experience of being involved in the Foyle Cup, and that's to be congratulated. However, it would be remiss of me not to congratulate the winners of the Under-19 Foyle Cup, Derryview Football Academy, from my own area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Hussey. And Alderman McMorris?
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I just wanted to also echo the success of the Foyle Cup. It was amazing to see the amount of children and just the excitement on not only their faces, but the parents or whatever. But it would be remiss of me not to mention the traffic issues and parking issues that we had in some of the venues. And it's not to put a negative spin on it, but I just think it's something that we should be raising with the the people that organise it. Do you know what I mean? Just to making sure that there's either park and ride facilities or better navigation into car parks for some of the areas, because there was serious disruption in regards to a few of the areas, one of them being Waterside Shared Village. But I just want to put it in record, brilliant event, brilliant for our economy, brilliant for the confidence of the young people that was playing, and all round a very good event. But I just wanted to raise about the parking issue.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. And you're right, there are, with that level of visitor numbers coming in, there are going to be issues that arise like that. And I'm sure that will be something that will be taken forward by the Foyle Cup organisers and the wider team, to look into for next year as the festival continues to grow. Councillor Barr, online.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to add my own comments to that too. The buzz around Strabane even for the full week was unreal. Seeing families coming out, and with children to watch the games, that's a fantastic event. Even in Strabane, I think Strabane Athletic had 18 teams in it. Fantastic event, and long may it last. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barr. And Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Mayor. And also, this is my first opportunity to congratulate you in your position, and hope you do very well. I'm sure you will. With regards to the Foyle Cup, every year it's getting bigger, it's getting better. There's more people coming from more corners of the globe, putting our place on the map. I mean, everything that can be said about it has been said, all positive, a few negatives as usual, but what can we expect with the amount of people that's coming to this city? Congratulations to the organisers, congratulations to the facilitators, congratulations to the participants. But what we also need to keep in mind is this is an event which is not funded the way it should be funded. It is one of the major contributors to our economy, to local businesses, to our hotels, to our general well-being. And I think that we should really seriously put the drive on and the pressure on government departments to recognise it for what it is, the huge success it is. I mean, we can put on Halloween, we can put on Christmas, we can put on the Maritime, we can put on lots of things. It's not bringing in the same amount to our local economy and to our local businesses, and as I say, to the general spotlighting of this city as the Foyle Cup does throughout the globe. And I wish the departments would recognise that, especially in the tourism industry, and fund it accordingly. Thank you.
Councillor Cusack, and you're right, it is a massive festival. I do hope that the organisers are getting a well-deserved break this week, because when I met them on Saturday, they definitely had a good week's full of it. So it's huge, and it is a massive effort for them to be putting on by themselves in that respect. So moving on to the next piece of Chair's business, I just want to raise the Relay for Life. So I was at many events over, July has been a very long month in terms of events that have been happening and that I've been invited to, but the Relay for Life, and just to in particular congratulate our own council team, who over the years have raised over £60,000 for Relay for Life, when I went to the event myself, I was really taken aback by the camaraderie and the real teamwork that happens. And this year they raised over £285,000. So I just wanted to congratulate them. And they, I know they had taken a year or two off there, but to see it back and to see the amount of families that were there, to hear the stories of, you know, families who have had many members of the one family affected by cancer, it was really, you know, it was very emotional, but it was also very heartwarming to see how those families come together to celebrate lives as well. So I just wanted to bring that up. And the next piece of chairperson's business I have is from Alderman Montgomery.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak on this issue. It's about the vandalism of a memorial and new buildings. Once again, we're speaking about vandalism of a memorial and stolen poppy wreaths in this chamber. On the early hours of the 15th of July, damage was carried out to the 2 Tommy soldiers, one which was taken along with poppy wreaths. The memorial was erected in 2023 by those in the community to honour and remember those who served and who made the ultimate sacrifice. The community and new buildings are absolutely devastated by what has happened, and I'm appealing to anyone who knows anything to please come forward. Damage to memorials and stealing poppy wreaths show a complete lack of disrespect, not only to our veterans, but their families and the entire community. I hope those responsible are identified and held accountable. There can be no justification for such a disgraceful act, and we must ensure memorials for those who fought in wars for us remains in place with dignity, respect and remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Montgomery. And Alderman Kerrigan.
Sorry, Mayor. Alderman Lynch is on the phone connected in, so she doesn't have the chat facility, so she would like to come in. So I just was indicating in that regard. Apologies, Mayor. So it's more for Alderman Lynch, because when you're signing in on the mobile phone, you don't have the chat facility. Thank you.
So apologies, Alderman Kerrigan. Does Alderman Lynch want to speak on this, or is it just to say that she's
No,
present?
she would like to speak on the issue in regards to the attack in New Buildings.
Okay, go ahead, Alderman Lynch. Alderman Lynch, it's not working at this stage, but I will give you the opportunity to come back in on this if you want to later on.
Mayor,
Oh, okay.
Sorry, it's Nairi here. She's having technical difficulties and she's had to log into on her phone, so she probably.
Can you hear me, Mayor?
Oh, there she is now. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor, for letting me in. I concur with the comments that Alderman Montgomery has made. The attacks were very disrespectful and the residents are really unhappy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lynch. Yep. Thank you. And the next, yep. And the next piece of chairperson's business I have is from Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Mayor. And at this stage of the meeting, I would just like to would like to wish luck to the Féile team, who will be carrying out all their programmes from the 5th to the 15th of August. We have seen over the past few months the amount of work that the Féile team, in partnership with our young people across our communities, have been doing to make the place look the best that it can be, with some of the beautiful murals that have been painted over this past while, and most recently the beautiful Seamus Heaney one at the top of Westland Street. So I just wanted to wish the team the very best of luck. I have seen the booklet, I have seen the online catalogue of events. There is something for everybody within, and it is really, really important that events like this are supported, because they do promote our peaceful, thriving communities, and they also promote good relations, which is happening on a daily basis by most of the community organisations that are working across the city and district. So just to wish them well, wish them the very best of luck, and hope everything goes off to plan. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Hutton. And our next piece of chairperson's business is from Councillor Murphy.
Guramaga Davara, and in the same vein as Councillor Hutton, just like to say, as we're moving into our recess, I think that it's worthwhile to mention in advance all the community festivals that will occur in August throughout our city and district. The wide range of events provide something for everyone, from our youngest children to our oldest citizens and everyone in between. Organisers will provide platforms for fun, entertainment, education and debate on a whole host of topics. I'd like to pay particular mention to Féile Derry, who have once again put together a fantastic series of events for our community. I'm looking forward especially to their presentations highlighting the ongoing genocide in Gaza. From the deliberate targeting of journalists to the murderous Israeli regime, to the voices of doctors who have witnessed the ongoing slaughter. It is important that these stories are told without filter and censorship. The situation in Gaza and the occupied West Bank for Palestinians is no better now than when a so-called Israeli ceasefire was announced in October past. In many ways, their reality is a lot worse. 1,100 deaths and thousands injured in Gaza. Disease and hunger are rampant. The bodies of around 10,000 citizens are still buried under rubble. In the occupied West Bank, the theft of land by Israeli settlers, backed up by the Israeli soldiers and sanctioned by the apartheid Israeli government, continues unabated. Murder, arson, and the degradation of the Palestinian communities has become the norm. While flying in the face of international law and multiple UN resolutions and all that we consider decent as human beings. It is therefore very important that the voices from Palestine are heard throughout the world and that their stories and struggles for peace and freedom are heard. Thank you to all at Féile Derry for giving us an opportunity to hear their voices. Guramaga.
Guramaga, Pat. And the next piece of chairperson's business is from Councillor Leonard.
For my August, Vara, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the recent Irish Fly Fishing World Championships that was held between Donegal County Council and our own council area, and venues in both fishing venues in both council areas. Also pleased to report that both the Irish under-19 and under-25 fishing teams achieved gold medals in both their competitions. And this is the first gold medal achieved at international level, so well done to them all. The team members come from all backgrounds, and it's great to see young people getting together and enjoying their sport, but a very special word of thanks must be given to their families and to all the volunteers from the different local fishing clubs who nurture and coach these young people right to competition standard, but also anglers to recreational level as well. So I was very pleased to represent yourself and the council at the opening ceremony, and watching all the teams come from under different flags. It was really a very professional ceremony, and I know you're at the closing event yourself. I know it's always dangerous to mention names in case I leave somebody out, but I do want to just mention the organising committee, Alan McDade, Harry Hutchinson and Damien Devine, and thank them for all the work they have put into this. And Mayor, I ask that you consider a mayor's reception for the team, and I can forward details if this is agreeable to yourself. Thank you.
Guramaga, Councillor Leonard, and thanks for bringing this up. I was at the closing ceremony for it, and I have to say I learned a few things, and it definitely would have been more suited to Councillor McHugh during his time, but I definitely learned a few things on the night. I just want to say myself a special recognition to one of our own council officers, Liam Griffin's son, Jacob, who won second in the overall individuals for the Worlds for that competition. And they are from County Tyrone, but we'll forgive them and we'll maybe invite them up, you know, for for a reception. But it was fantastic, and the opportunity that maybe the adult competition might come our way in the next couple of years as well. It was I know I always go on about the economic impact, but that hotel alone had said that the economic impact of having those teams there from all over the world for that 1 week and the difference that it had made to them. So you imagine how that would spread out, and if we did have that in the over 18s, it would be amazing for our council area as well. So thank you, and thank you for representing me at the opening ceremony. And sorry, the next piece is Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Mayor, and Bonnie raises on behalf of the elected members of the Pilots Row Steering Group, Councillor Boyle and Councillor Dantley and myself attended a meeting last week, and it was the first meeting that happened within a year. And as you may know, Mayor, the Education Authority have initiated I suppose a scheme to separate the youth provision from the community provision, and there's quite a number of staff over there who they had started the negotiations with, and that was 2.5 years ago, maybe coming on 3 now. There has been no there was no representative there from the strategy team on Tuesday's meeting, which was quite disappointing. But we did hear from a local area manager that there has been no movement on the terms of reference, which were to be drew up by the Education Authority. And there has been no movement in over a year. And they're putting this down to the lack of, apparently there's only 1 solicitor working out of a team of 5. However, at the heart of this, we have quite a number of staff over at Pilots Row who really don't know what is going to happen to their jobs in the long term. 2.5 years, going on 3 is quite a long time. Do you have to endure this? So we decided at the meeting if yourself, Mayor, could write a letter to the Education Authority stressing the need for them to progress with the terms of reference so our council can meaningfully engage and get this process to conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. Councillor Boyle.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Patricia in particular for speaking on behalf of myself and Gary, Councillor Donnelly, as members of the Pilots Row Steering Group. She's summed up the situation as we find ourselves in at the minute, and obviously I do second that. I'm sure Councillor Donnelly would too. If you can, on behalf of the Pilots Row Steering Group, address what is a very significant and serious delay in reality, as Councillor Logue outlines. It's been held in a state of chassis now for roughly 2.5, 3 years, all right, and it's just not. It's an untenable situation for everyone associated with Pilots Row. So anything, I think our agreement was basically anything we think we can do to try and push this on. And Councillor Lowe's quite correct. The logjam seems to be at the EA end, and particularly at their legal department end. And we, as a city and district council, I think are awaiting documents, heads of terms of agreement and stuff like that coming back from EA, and there's just nothing coming from them, you know. So I think a letter from this council, hopefully, might put some fire under it, and maybe we'll get a quicker response than it looks like we're going to get at the moment, Mayor. So again, we would appreciate as our representative of the entire council, you do that on behalf of us. Thank you.
Yep, no problem, Councillor Boyle and Councillor Donnelly.
For my audit, Chair, and there's not a lot to be said that hasn't already been said for the previous 2 speakers, but just to put on record, my concerns, and Councillor Boyle is right, that the delay seems to be from the EA, the delay and lack of a solicitor to sort out the heads of terms, and I think it should be, you know, we had a tour around Pilots Row and seen the good work it's there and it's looking well. But I think, you know, we also need to make the distinction, as Councillor Boyle said, it's not the people in Pilots Row, it is actually the EA outside of that is holding this up, not those who are in Pilots Row. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Donnelly. And we have now councillor Boyle.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks for allowing me to come in on this one. These are difficult subjects, but I think it's important that we open up an opportunity to pay tribute to two former councillors, one who would be well known to quite a number of people in this chamber, and of course one who would perhaps not have been known to many, if any, in this chamber as well. And it has, of course, been a very sad month for the SDLP. So I'd first off appreciate it if we could all remember and pass our condolences on to the family of Annie Courtney, who served for a very long time as a councillor on Derry City Council. And I'd known Annie for very, very many years. It's probably gives away my age, I suppose, but I've been a member of the SDLP since I was a teenager, and Annie was a very prominent member of the SDLP council team from the 80s right through until she actually became an MLA, replacing John Hume. And I know she in particular was very proud of the fact that she replaced John Hume at assembly level. Of course, Annie left politics probably in and around the mid-2000s, 2005 or thereabouts. But she was a very valued and respected member of the SDLP team on Derry City Council in particular. And not only that, but obviously Annie had her own family, and she was a well-loved mother and wife. I always remember everywhere you went if Annie was there. She would have been accompanied by her late husband, Sid. You know, I think probably reflecting on her years in council, of course, Annie also served as mayor, and it's a great honour, as we all know, all of those who've served as mayor. And Annie was a brilliant mayor of the city in 1992, which I remembered being a very significant year for the city, because that was the year when our arts and cultures strategy moving forward from Impact 92 kind of began. So Annie was one of the leaders of Impact 92, which I think maybe 20 odd years later then we could look at as being a contributor to our successful City of Culture bid as well. So it's just to pass on our condolences from the SDLP, and to ask you, of course, Mayor, if you could issue a letter of condolence to Annie's family. And then, of course, just to pay tribute to somebody I think we all know in this room, or certainly most of us, and that, of course, is the very sad passing as well of our beloved colleague and friend, Gus Hastings. When I say the words Gus Hastings, I automatically smile, because I remember such a wonderful, beautiful, kind and compassionate and thoughtful man who sat in this chamber alongside many of us, and a man who was actually also a great raconteur. And you know, be quite honest, I don't think anybody would disagree with me when I say, you know, Gus was very thoughtful. He had a very broad knowledge of so very many things. His advice was advice well given, and I always like to think it was well taken as well. I know we didn't all agree, but you know, I pretty much always agreed with Gus, because Gus was that kind of guy who could talk you around most of the time. Maybe sometimes at length as well, and I'm conscious of that. And he'd probably be sitting behind me now saying, "That's all right, but great, wind it up, would you?" But he might also be the kind of guy who would say, "Why are you sitting down there in the front seats all on your own, looking so lonely? What did you do and what did you say to people?" That's the kind of thing that Gus would have come out with. So a very, very cherished member of the SDLP team here on the old Derry City Council, and of course, indeed, Derry City and Strabane District Council as well. I think he made an enormous contribution to the work of this council. And of course, all before he ever landed in the seats here, Gus had, and here's something I actually didn't know. As a young man, he'd actually served in the British Army, but that wasn't unusual for young men from this city in the 1950s and 1960s for them to do that, for various and myriad different reasons. But I think actually any time that Gus actually told people he was in the Salvation Army. So that's true. And he then, of course, moved into a career working for the post office. And again, something I think Gus probably would have been very suited to was walking around doors, delivering mail and chatting to people, because that was one of the things that he was probably most brilliant at. A fantastic communicator, and actually not only that, but a brilliant listener as well. You know, so And of course, his career as a youth worker is well documented, and he'd worked in various youth work positions here in the Northwest, in Strabane, and very most notably in Pilots Row, which of course has just come up in our conversations as well. So without labouring it, because as I said, he would probably he'd probably reprimand me for talking too long, but just wonderful memories of Gus, and of course we remember him. We want to pass on our condolences to Brady and his 2 years as well, and if you again could on our behalf as a council write to Brady and the carers and pass on our condolences, would be very much appreciated. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your time on that one as well. Thank you.
Councillor Boyle, and a really fitting tribute, and my sympathies do go to both the families. And I was in Strathfoyle myself last week for their fun day, and you could feel the loss in Strathfoyle. It has really impacted the community workers there. So yeah, I'll pass on now to Alderman Hussey, first indicated speaker there.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity, and thank you to Councillor Boyle for 2 magnificent tributes to 2 people like John. I've been about a while and would have interfaced quite often with both Anna and Gus. In my days at the Legacy Council Strabane, we obviously had a working relationships over various things, and of course our paths would have crossed in the Assembly when we were both serving in the Assembly. I'm really sorry to learn of Annie's passing. I'm delighted that when referring to Gus, Councillor Boyle talked about Gus's smile, and I think that sums it up. And sometimes it was a cheeky grin, sometimes it was a smile of happiness, but there was always a word from Gus on any subject that you brought to mind, and sometimes it wasn't done via the mic, sometimes it was a nod into your ear, etc. But definitely a character who will be sadly missed, and similar to Annie, I'm really sorry to learn of Gus's passing, and would pass the sympathies on from the Ulster Unions Group to both families. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. And Alderman Guy.
Thank you, Mayor, for that. Just to reiterate what my colleague has said, but more so on a personal level as well, to Annie Courtney and her family. Obviously, I was only a young cub whenever she was took the benches here in the Guildhall, but she was at the council the same time as my father, and I often remember her well and fondly, and they worked together in the hospital as well. So our family would take Annie as a good friend, and we just pass on our condolences to all her family that are mourning her. Also for Gus as well, I had the pleasure of working with Gus on a few committees and things, and I always found him always did give good advice, but it was always full of crack too as well. And I know that the people of Strathfoyle and Maydown have a big void there to fill now without him, because he was such a big character. But also they pass on condolences from Mary Hamilton as well, who was extremely sad at his passing, because they were obviously very good friends here in the chamber at the time. So thank you, Mayor, for that there.
Okay, Alderman Guy and Councillor Logue.
Mayor, and just to record our party's condolences to both. I didn't really know Annie Courtney. I knew of her, but I know she was a big figure in the city and within the party at the time. Obviously, everybody knew Gus, and he will be sorely missed. He brought a bit of crack, let's say, to some of the meetings that wouldn't have been anything to laugh about, but I'll always, every time I hear the word flipping, I think it'll always remind me of Gus, because he just had this habit of starting conversations about anything, but flipping, I mean, so I will always remember him when I hear that word. Thank you.
Can we get Councillor Logue? Alderman Kerrigan online.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in. And on behalf of the DUP, we do offer our deepest sympathies to Annie's family and to the family of Gus. I wouldn't, to be fair, I wouldn't have known Annie. I've known of her, but I did sit with Gus on the Rapid board, and he did. He could always tell a lot of good yarns, and there was always, as has been referenced, I always had a smile and a laugh with him, and a wee joke or a wee story that you could repeat or you couldn't repeat. So, but he was a very likable individual, and could always make conversation out of something. So we do note where Councillor Boyle has picked it up from as well. But we do sympathise very much with the families there involved. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, and like some of the previous speakers, I don't know Annie Courtney, but I want to be associated with sending condolences to the family and to Gus's family. And Gus was in the early days in here very lively, and there was that crack, and a lot of times we didn't see eye to eye. Took a while, but then towards the end we started putting whatever barriers were there aside, and as Councillor Boyle says, I was subjected to some of them very lengthy phone calls. Very, very good crack. And what I remember about Gus too is that he had this uncanny knack of not turning his phone off. And for some reason, every time he went to speak into the mic, the phone would ring. And I don't believe that's a coincidence. I believe that it may be all our members around him. But on a serious note, I'm sure both are huge losses to their families, both larger than life characters, and they'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly and Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. And like other speakers, send condolences to Gus's family. And Gus, he was a big character. People talking about his smile, but he also had a big bark too, and a growl that he could use when he needed. But I would say, like, Gus was a big character in Strabane. He's had a massive influence on younger generations that are all grown up now, but they didn't forget about him, because once news of his sad passing went around, Facebook and Strabane was alive with condolences for him, because as a youth leader in Melvin Hall, or one facility, he did have a massive influence on young people. I didn't always agree with him. And one of the famous ones in here was Dreamers Dreaming of members. And it always gets recalled, doesn't it? And as for the phone going off, I think sometimes it was sabotage by members in here that knew exactly when I was about to speak and had his phone to catch him out, But again, I think he'll be sadly missed.
Councillor Gallagher, and our last indicated speaker on this item is Councillor Duffy online.
Well, Mayor, good, Mayor, and also the same as everyone else, condolences to Annie McCourtney, who would have been a personal friend of my late mother's, and of course to the big man Gus himself. I had the great privilege of Gus being my youth worker. He has scolded me on many occasions as a young person, and even more so as his colleague in the Strathfield Community Association. I served alongside Gus as the chairperson, where I still am. Gus was the secretary for many years. One of the oldest community associations surviving to date, 45 years as the community festival itself. As you visited on Saturday previous, is all down to the work of the likes of Gus Hastings and the late Noel O'Donnell and Eugene McStravick, all these great people who have sadly passed on and left that great legacy behind. And I know it would be amiss of me, and Gus would be very upset if I didn't mention that Strathfield Community Association has been running this festival in some way, shape or form for the guts of 45 years with no and very little support. So I can hear him talking in my ear to tell you that the council officers, we will come knocking soon, and we'll be making that aware to you that and find any support that we can get to be able to continue that legacy. And condolences to Brady and family with that huge loss of a great character. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Duffy, and to everyone who gave their tributes there. I felt that was very fitting. Our next piece of chairperson's business is from Alderman Hussey.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor. I know it was very late last night, early hours of this morning when I notified of you of this particular issue, but it has only come to light lately. I don't know if members are aware that there's a proposal currently under consideration by Ireland's National Planning Authority and a decision expected on November the 5th. It's a new planning application seeking permission to complete the 19 turbine development at Mean Bog outside Ballybofey. That's the site of the 2020 bog slide that triggered one of the region's most serious environmental incidents in recent years. The 2020 disaster saw more than 250,000 cubic feet of peat break away from the mountainside and make its way into the Mournberg River near Castlederg, smothering fish spawning grounds, destroying aquatic plants, insect life, etc. And I'm sure Councillor McHugh would be more aware of the impact that had from the fishing perspective. The pollution also caused serious concerns over local drinking water supplies. It's my understanding that when a planning application in one of the jurisdictions may impact on the other jurisdiction, that there is notification, cross-border notification. And I'm wondering, has that occurred in this particular case? I mean, are our planning department aware of it? Has there been interaction with the Rivers Agency, with the Lochs Agency, are responsible for the entire Foyle Basin, with NI Water with regard to water supplies, and with regard, for example, to the local fishing groups who were impacted by that disaster? If not, I'm asking that this council would seek to ensure that those cross-border consultations are taking place. I don't know if there was an inquiry into the first incident in 2020, and if there's a report. You know, I've never seen sight of that report, and I don't know if any others have, if there is a report. But all of these issues are of extreme concern to the area of the Derg and to the wider council area via the Foyle River system. And I would ask that officers would investigate the current planning application and as to how this council and other agencies in Northern Ireland can contribute to the consultation on that particular planning application. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, just through Mayor, just to say that we normally are notified of cross-jurisdictional planning applications or planning applications that have cross-jurisdictional impact, but as yet, I'm not clear that we have, but we'll check that.
Thank you for that, Alderman Hussey. And our last piece of chairperson's business is from Councillor Boggs.
Mayor, and can I also thank you for your indulgence given the late notice, but on behalf of the Sinn Féin Group and Council, can I take the opportunity to convey our sadness and to send our condolences to Pat Doherty, the former Lásachtar on Sinn Féin, the former Vice President of Sinn Féin and also former MP for West Tyrone, and to Pat's family on the sad passing of their wife and mother, Mary Doherty. Mary, although Pat's wife through the years of being a VP of Sinn Féin and also the West Tyrone MP and all the challenges that brought with it at the time, in her own right was a well-respected Irish Republican right across this island, and also a strong advocate of social justice, and in that regard made people very fond of her. People have great memories of Mary. But I think it is important, like all of us in this chamber will know, and I'm sure Pat will reflect on over the coming weeks and months, we can't do the jobs that we do without the support of our family. And in that regard, Mary was a huge support to Pat and their family through all those many years. And we, as a party, have to send our thoughts and condolences, but also our thanks to Mary and the Doherty family for everything that they've done, not just for the people of West Tyrone, but indeed for the people of Ireland. Pat would have been a key figure throughout the peace process, and we thank them for the sacrifice that they made to allow Pat to be able to play that strong role within our own party. So we hold them in our thoughts today, Mayor, and particularly for the sometimes quiet and unassuming role that Mary would have played throughout those many difficult years. And we just ask that on behalf of this council, you write a letter to Pat and his family to express our deepest condolences on the very sad loss of Mary.
Gormagat, Councillor Boggs, and yeah, I'll make sure that's done. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to come in again. I was unaware of Pat's loss of his wife and extend my sincere sympathies to the family. Having served with Pat on the Assembly and part of the team, the group of 6 MLAs, as it was at that time, representing West Tyrone, were once upon a time described by Ray Jempe, who was one of the ministers, as Team West Tyrone. And Pat was part of that team when issues come up of concern for the area. We worked as a team. I know that it may be difficult to believe in this day and age that could actually happen, but it did happen right across all the 4 main parties. And I had an excellent working relationship with Pat, and would extend my sympathy, as I say, to Pat and the family on the sad passing of his wife. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor Donnelly, I'm sorry I missed your hand up there. Was it for the previous? Sorry, yes, yep, go ahead.
No, I just at the young rider FEI jumping European Championship took place in Hagen, Germany last week, and Team Ireland got a silver medal, which was a massive achievement. But in that team, there's a young man called Ben Walsh from Derry. Both his parents hail from Craigan, and I just think we need to recognise that huge achievement. At 16, Ben fought off competition from all across Europe to claim the Jumping Ponies Trophy title in 2022 at 16. So, Mayor, if you would agree to send a letter to Ben congratulating him in his achievement. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly, I apologise for missing that one out. Okay, that is the end of the chairperson's business. So we're going to move into agenda item number 6. So that is the confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Wednesday, the 24th of June 2026. Can I get a proposer and seconder for those, please? Proposed by Alderman Montgomery and seconded by Councillor Heaney. Okay, is there any matters arising? No. Oh, sorry, Pat. Murphy, Councillor Murphy.
Coramagat. C253/26. I was just wondering, are there any updates on that at the moment?
Through you, Chair, members, the team have visited the site on a number of occasions. We are currently looking at what we can do in the timescale that's available, but we definitely will be doing something, and we've been engaging with Councillor Duffy to keep her up to date on it.
Thank you very much.
Any other matters arising from that one? No. Okay, so the open minutes of the bi-monthly Assurance Audit and Risk Committee held on Monday the 22nd of June. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that, please? So Councillor Logue and a seconder, Councillor Gallagher. Are there any matters arising? Nope. Okay. So the open minutes of the Special Health and Community Committee held on the 29th of June 2026. proposer and seconder for that one, please? Councillor Hutton and Councillor Devine. Any matters arising from that? No. The adoption of the open minutes of the monthly Governance and Strategic Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 7th of July. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that one, please? Councillor McGinley and Councillor Heaney. And is there any matters arising from it? Councillor Devine?
Good, Mayor. It's GSP 13126. And while I welcome the paper that was brought to committee, I am a bit concerned that following some of the conversations there at committee, the original intention of the proposal could become diluted. The motion was specifically about helping residents here in our city and district to understand the meaning behind our local townland and street names, as well as promoting respect for both the Irish and, as we made an amendment to the proposal, the Ulster Scot, as part of our shared heritage. The report itself acknowledges that the majority of our local place names originate from Irish. The campaign should therefore then reflect the actual linguistic heritage of our district, with the Irish origin names included in the proportion in which they are prevalent in this city and district, while also appropriately highlighting the genuine Ulster Scots names and heritage, rather than, as proposed in the paper, creating newly coined Ulster Scots translations. There are hundreds of townlands in this council area. I know in my own, where the ward I live in, there's over 60 alone. So I think as well, featuring just one place name or a townland each month seems to be very limited. And I would ask that officers maybe explore doing that campaign more frequently. And I think this would remain a wee bit closer to the proposal and the sentiment of the original proposal, which I had made. I have a couple of questions just in relation to it, and I'm sure they were covered as part of the background work into the paper. How many townlands do we have here in our city and district, and what is the percentage that are derived from Irish? Councillor
Devine? Okay, Councillor Devine, I will get one of the council officers to come back to you, sorry, and answer on that one, okay? And Councillor Gallagher?
Separate issue, Chair. It's GSP 12826. And I, just previously, Mary, you mightn't be aware, but we sort of went down a road like this previously, and there was a lot of contested arguments how we stakeholders on a previous time. And while I do see it as getting recognised that these stakeholders will be consulted, I think that needs to be a very in-depth process to be undertaken, so that we can avoid any maybe public controversy in the future. And I also see that while we're only approving it in principle, it nearly looks like we're going to spend a fortune and then get out of it. And I do see in the report that consideration will be given that, but is there a way of that consideration being a wee bit more stronger than consideration of recouping repairs money that we're going to spend up front and then potentially offload at a loss? So in essence, I think that there needs to be very in-depth consultation done with key stakeholders, and we should be looking at some guarantees of recouping large amount of money that's here that we're agreeing today, So I would like to see some protection given that. And the report consideration just doesn't give it very much strength. Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. I don't know if there's other members going to speak there first before I come back in, or no? Just to advise that absolutely, there will be in-depth consultation with stakeholders. I think one of those begins tomorrow. Open-ended discussion on the views of stakeholders, all of which will be brought back to this chamber for consideration. In relation to, I think, Councillor Gallagher, what you were referring to was the potential or the proposed spend by council on some of the health and safety items. I think at the governance committee, it was outlined that those are necessary elements of spend at this minute in time for the stadium to remain open with a stadium license, and that obviously any spend that takes place, should there be any future disposal policy, that will be considered by LPS. I think that was the view that you provided, Philip, as well. Yeah.
Councillor Hutton?
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks, John, for that update. Would it be okay if we asked for that engagement to take place, you know, sooner rather than later, and a paper brought back in September?
Through you, Mayor, one of the engagements is going to take place tomorrow. And I think we're trying to plan most of the engagement during August. And again, this will be initial engagement. There may be a requirement for further engagement. So we may be in a position to bring the paper back in September, but it'll depend on the availability of all of the stakeholders and indeed the officers during August. But if not September, most definitely October. Sorry, the first meeting is Friday, not tomorrow. Sorry, I thought this was Thursday.
Councillor Millie?
Thank you, Mayor. I did speak in this nicely on at the committee at the start of the month there, and obviously the points I put across was that, you know, there was a principle that we engage with the club about this matter, because it was not, my view was it was a necessary precursor. They agreed that and engage in any negotiation, which may or may not bear any fruit. But the point that I made, and I think it was probably most important, and the salient point would be, is that we in March agreed a new policy on asset disposals, and obviously there's a very comprehensive policy that council officers have to abide by, and in that includes consultation with any relevant stakeholders, which I suspect council officers will engage in. And obviously, and sorry if that was the asks for the updated financial spend. We are still the landlord of that facility, and obviously we have obligations in relation to that. But I was very glad to hear that during that the city solicitor did agree that if there was any spent, then that would obviously be furnished to LPS, which would take that into the valuation as well. So at this stage, this is a very this is an initial and the start of this process. So we'll see what bears fruit then. If there's a paper in September, that's fair enough, but obviously it's very early in the days, and we did ask for a robust consultation for all affected stakeholders. So hope to see it anyway, but thank you, Chair.
Councillor Millie. Councillor Donna, you had your hand up. Is it a different issue?
It's the same item, but a different issue regarding that item. And I have a separate one too. So if you want to work around that, be free to come back to me.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else's hand up on this particular issue. So if you want to go on ahead.
Okay, Jared, do you want me to deal with the issue arising out of my issue with this item, or go to the other one? What?
Go ahead on this item for now, yeah.
Chair, the recent game that was played in Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium has left a lot to be desired. And I attended a meeting with other councillors in the Mayor Ward with the Derry City Football Club the other day, and it was a very, very informative and welcome meeting. I'm also aware of an hour meeting that took place between some elected reps and the PSNI. However, I can't get who organised that or who was invited, or, you know, but I wouldn't have attended that anyway. But I think it's important that we're as open and as transparent as possible. But Chair, there is an awful lot of issues, and I'm sure other councillors will agree with this, and they have agreed at the meeting that we attended yesterday. There's a serious concern within a number of organisations and within the community of a lot of issues arising out of that match. And this council it's council property, and council has a duty and a responsibility to get to the bottom of this in order to protect this council's reputation and in order to protect Derry City Football Club's reputation and ensure that the safety of the service users, and not only that, but the host community in the Brandywell and the spin-off from that residents in around Bishop Street. And I'm talking about the CSKA fans who came to this city last week, who gave Nazi salutes, who wore T-shirts proclaiming they weren't here for the football, they were here for the violence. And I witnessed these Nazi salutes, and a quick cursory glance at some of their web pages will see that this group is, a lot of their matches openly display neo-Nazi symbols, and what I read was they are displayed with impunity. And these group of football fans were then taken via Bishop Street in a procession. It has now transpired that there was no 11-1 submitted for that. And at the same time, PSNI are doing people in this city for walking on the footpath for illegal processions. Councillors have informed me that at the meeting with the PSNI that they don't accept their reasons or their rationale for taking them supporters down around George's Bar. And I've been told by Derry City fans that it was well known amongst some of them that CSKA had, and I have some of the documents here where they have sent it around their supporters, identifying the Oak Grove Bar, actually given a link to where it's situated. Follow this link and you can be there, and that's where they meet. And as a result of that, some of these fans contacted residents in around Long Tower Court and says, look, be careful. So all that was happening. And in the meantime, we're expected to believe that there was no red flags. And I can't accept that. And I don't think anybody can accept that. So as a result of that, Chair, I'm asking, and I've sent the proposal to Alex, if he could maybe put it up, that this council brings back a report, effectively speaks to the stakeholders, whoever they need to, and bring back a report. And that's simply to prevent these issues happen in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Hutton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I'm happy enough to second Councillor Donnelly's proposal. But OGMA, who are the security outfit that are they're contracted in by Derry City. So I do believe that our council can take part in a piece of work just to ensure that this doesn't happen again. But we also need to understand that there has been meetings this past week, both with the PSNI and with Derry City, that Gary has alluded to. And I think that preventing this from happening again, there has been measures that have been taken. There has been proposals that there will be stadium safety experts coming to speak to the PSNI about their role. There will be, they will also be speaking to Derry City Football Club in relation to how they dealt with the matter. OGMA dealt with the matter brilliantly. They were commended for the role that they played that evening. But what I will say is, it was nothing short of disgraceful what happened on Bishop Street last Thursday night. I was horrified by the phone calls I was receiving, the videos that I was getting sent, and also the photographs that I was getting sent. Hearing young children screaming and crying in the background is not what we want to see in this day and age when the PSNI are on our streets. We had enough of that years ago. We saw what the RUC did in our streets years ago, and we are trying to move on to a better place where we can put trust within the police force that are coming onto our streets to keep people safe. And unfortunately, I lost faith when I saw what happened on Bishop Street, and I have told that to the police myself face to face. I don't know how we can go out and try and reassure people that the police service of Northern Ireland are here to assist them and to keep them safe when we witness what happened in Bishop Street. And it's not the end of it. We will be holding people to account. As a party, we've been meeting regularly. We've been meeting with the PSNI, we've been meeting with Derry City, and we need to know the answer as to why them people were brought down Bishop Street. The excuse was it was the shortest route to get them to safety, but we have since learnt that there was another agreement 2 days prior to the day that the match actually took place. So we are calling another meeting with the PSNI in relation to new information that we received yesterday. What I will also say is, Gary has every right, Gary, with all due respect, you've every right to bring this into this forum, but I think the less negative publicity around this, the better. We have a football club who have a brilliant reputation. We need to ensure that that's maintained. We also have young people listening to every move that we make in relation to the organised stuff that happened last Thursday night. We don't need them hearing that we're keeping on and on talking about it. These matters are being dealt with in forums where it's proactive, open and transparent, and there's decisions being made to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And in relation to the procession, Gary's right, we did question that. If that was a procession, they said these people were escorted, but there should have been an 11-bar-1 form, and the police actually raised that themselves. And they also raised the fact of some behaviour of their officers on the street as well, which we will be keeping an eye on and ensuring that people are held to account for that as well. But, you know, recommendations were made at these meetings. People sat around a table, and it came to the point now where this Thursday night there will be another game, and there are measures put in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again. That's what dialogue does. That's what sitting around a table with all of the stakeholders involved in keeping people safe, particularly. And myself and Councillor Logue were dealing with residents within the Brandywell area, the Lowmore Road, who were absolutely terrified of what could have happened on their streets. So I'm happy to second the proposal by Councillor Donnelly, but I just wanted to assure other members within this room today and council officers that there are meetings happening, there's dialogue happening, and we are going to get to a place to ensure that this will not happen again, but everyone needs to be around the table. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Hutton and Councillor Boyle.
Chair, just before we move on, can I just do a declaration of interest? I have family members that work for OGMA, so I wanted to be clear on that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Well, look, I support the proposal from Councillor Donnelly. Had it not been seconded already, on behalf of the SDLP, I would have been more than content to do so. Mayor, and I also am conscious of the fact that if we do agree on this course of action, that I don't want to be too prescriptive around what the outcome or of the investigation might be. I think we all know, to a greater or lesser degree, you know, some of what happened around that particular CSKA football match. And of course, some of the scenes that we witnessed were absolutely disgraceful, dreadful, and actually very frightening as well. There are members here present, including myself, who were in attendance at the game. My council colleague, Councillor Farrell, was yards from the away support and could see it much more clearly than I could see it from the other side of the ground. But it was very clear inside the ground that something had gone very seriously wrong. At that juncture, I had obviously made my way to the football match, and I had been unaware of what had happened on Bishop Street before the game. However, of course, I'm now very well aware of what happened on Bishop Street, and the scenes in Bishop Street were again disgraceful. And not only that, they were frightening. There are, of course, questions, particularly for the police, as to how it was that they came to the operational decision to escort, parade, use whatever adjective you want, some element of the CSK support down and across Bishop Street, because again, that was a very frightening scene. And yes, I agree with Councillor Donnelly as well. It should have been evident that we had a neo-Nazi presence in our city, strutting around and basically doing Nazi salutes in our city square. Again, not acceptable. Unfortunately, this is a European disease at the minute. There are neo-Nazis who are continuing to attach themselves and associate themselves with football clubs. And it's probably something that we need to be much more conscious of here now in this city. And it's been a very, very steep learning curve for us over this past week, fortnight. And I think also, to try and put some of it into perspective, there was a very sizable travelling support. As a man, someone who's visited and attended the Brandywell on most European nights, I don't think I ever remember that kind of size of a support coming from such a far distance before. I know we've seen teams from closer to this island who have the ability to bring, but it was quite a surprise to see that level, and it was evidently, something that had been concocted by their ultra supporters, who, it is my understanding, some of whom are actually not even allowed into the Levski Sofia Stadium by CSKA Sofia. So there are an awful lot of questions, and what a report might bring out. I mean, how did these people even get here? How did they get tickets? All of that sort of stuff. I'd look forward to finding all of that out. I don't want to be too prescriptive around it, But just finally, Mayor, and to put it all into perspective, the first European game that I attended at the Brandywell was Cardiff City in 1988. There have been numerous European nights at the Brandywell. They've always been exciting. It's always been wonderful to see the level of support that Derry City received, and the family atmosphere that we've had at those European games and every other game in between. And I think it's important that we reflect as well on the fact that all of those games have been successful. We've never seen trouble like this before. And I hope and pray we never see trouble like this again. But we got to wake up to the possibility that we might. So thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Boyle, and our next speaker is Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you. I agree with the proposal. I think it's something this council needs to carry out. In regards to the negativity, the negativity has gone out throughout Europe on this, and it probably puts the PSNI as amateurs in dealing with such a situation compared to across Europe. They failed to act on the intelligence that was well known from local Derry people. And again, go back to negativity, and we talked earlier about costs the council is putting in the stadium. Derry City's been fined thousands of pounds. Thousands. Setting aside the rest of the kids, and heard Councillor Farrell on the radio talking about the rest of the kids. It holds local people in the situations that they never got involved in. And that's what happens. Negativity. Just as a point of clarification, I'm not sure when people are talking about meetings and councillors and going to meetings, is councillors going to these meetings representing council, or they're going to represent parties? Because I wasn't aware if any invites going out to all councillors, and all councillors in this chamber are stakeholders in regards to the situation that unfolded. So if we represent council, I think invites and the need for open transparency, the invites will go out to all councillors, and then they'll have a choice whether they want to attend or not.
Thank you.
Councillor Gallagher and Alderman McMorris online.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I just want to say I actually spoke about this issue in PCSP yesterday and asked the police to give accountability of their operation on the day of the football match. So they did that. So it'll be interesting just to see how this basically plays out with council and the police and Derry City Football Club, and a report back would be very, very welcomed. We do support the motion in front of us. As I say, it'll be interesting just to see all the facts being pulled together. But I just, as I noted yesterday, you know, on the same day after the football match, there was an attack in the Memorial Hall and on the fountain. And as I said yesterday, I'm not in any way associating that would be the football fans, you know what I mean? But there were serious incidents throughout the city that day, whether it be attacks against football fans or whatever. But we also had attacks on a very monumental building within our city and the fountain estate. So just maybe if we can look into that as well, you know, as part of the whole investigation, if we're speaking to the police in regard to it. But yeah, but thank you, and yeah, we'll be supporting the motion. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. Alderman Guy.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to say that Ulster Unionist Party will support the motion as well for the paper to come in the committee. I was at the meeting with the police obviously last week. It's something that they always run on the run up to parades and different events. And they always bring the same 4 people in from different parties. So there was a debrief of what had actually happened the previous Thursday around the Derry City CSK Sophia match. I also questioned why the CSK fans had been taken down Bishop Street. They'd also, a few of them had actually been taken through the fountain as well. Residents were not happy about that because they felt that was them being dragged into the situation as well of what happened later on. However, I suggested that if it did happen, why were they taken down Long Tower Lane, past the chapel and back up on at the lights and down Lower Bishop Street? It was probably the best option to keep them away from them bars if they felt they had to take them through Bishop Street, and they says that they couldn't take them through the Bogside because of previous incidents which had occurred during the Bows game around the same time last year. So everybody was at that meeting were asking the same questions. Nobody was happy that they actually took them down Bishop Street. But what I pointed out at that meeting was, unfortunately, the Derry City fans who were having a friendly drink outside the bars, which they normally congregate round before the Derry games, they were the ones across the road to challenge these CSK fans. And in most videos, it looks as if they were the ones that threw the first punch. So what I'm saying, there's nobody really that's the scenes that were witnessed then when kids were trying to get away out of the way, people were trying to get into the bars for safety. Nobody wants to see that. And Derry do have a good record of basically trying to have no trouble during their matches and so on. So it's good to see that they are working with the police to try and sort this issue out. Now, it's sad that the police had to be called in to control the crowd trouble. But we'll never know if what happened in Bishop Street led on to, was there maybe anything ever going to happen in the Brandywell? And then did that lead on to what happened in the fountain later when people in Derry City Tops did enter the fountain and were put out by residents, and then young ones, youths, basically had hand-to-hand fighting with people who were leaving the Memorial Hall. So not saying they were part of the Derry City fans, but there seemed to be a free-for-all after the match at that stage. And people's backs were up because of what had happened outside the bar and so on earlier on in the match. So there's a lot of questions there to be asked. But obviously in the stakeholders as well as the PSNI. So are the PSNI going to be allowed to come in here to basically say, tell everybody the way they operated through the game and so on? And I'm glad now I wasn't able to make the meeting there that councillors had with Derry City yesterday, but I hear that they are being bussed in this time. I know there's a smaller crowd, so that takes that any confrontation out of the way, and it's actually a great idea. So all commendations to Derry City for taking that there that stand to bus them in. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Gay, just going back to Councillor Donnelly then, I wouldn't be mindful to take pop-ups without having sight of them first, but bearing, like, you know, there's no dissent in the room about this, and it is something that has been discussed very widely the past month. I am happy to accept this at this stage, but I would appreciate a bit of notice in the future if anything is coming in. So if there isn't any dissent in the room, Alderman Hussey? Oh, different issue. So if there isn't any dissent in the room, then I will accept that.
Sorry, Mayor, I had a hand up there for a while.
Oh, sorry, I can't see your hand, Councillor Harkin, because the proposal's on the screen. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, thank you, no problem. Look, I just wanted to thank Councillor Donnelly for the motion, and I very much support it. There's a lot of issues. This issue here is dealing specifically with the unacceptable situation that arose at the football match in the Brandywell. And I do think that there's a number of I want to commend the stewards, as many others have done, and the restraint that was shown by Derry City fans. And look, prior to the CSK Sofia fans, and it's not all of them. There is a minority of them. They were in the city centre and they were trying to provoke things there. And their modus operandi is very clear. That they go to start trouble. There's a section of their fans that are clearly inspired by fascism and neo-Nazi ism, and they were looking to start up violence, and so of course they were trying to provoke people, and so that was clear before the game, and that's why I think that the PSNI have very serious questions to answer about this, because in many ways, from what I witnessed, is that they actually facilitated it. And as Councillor Donnelly pointed out, look, Palestine solidarity activists in this city and elsewhere are being criminalised and hounded and harassed for walking on the pavement and told that that's not allowable. And it's not the first time that a group of fascists have been facilitated. You look at what happened with Tommy Robinson's march in Britain on the same day there's a Palestine rally. You look at what happened in Portrush on Saturday, where there was open neo-Nazis organising a march, facilitated and supported by the PSNI. So I think that this is a broader issue about what is going on here. Why was this allowed to happen? And it obviously had a very negative impact on the city, and we don't want to see that happen again. So look, the motion's good. I'm not aware of any meetings. I wasn't invited to any meetings. I think that this is an issue for all Derry City fans, all councillors here. So I think that it's appropriate that we are discussing this today, unfortunately. And I just want to, support the motion again. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Carmela, Councillor Harkin. We're going to move on now to any other matters arising from governance. I do see your hand up there, Alderman Hussey, but I think Councillor Donnelly said he had something else he wanted to bring up as well. Can I just remind members as well, just to keep their comments as brief as they can, just so we can get this done today.
I'll be brief. GSP 134/26, and it's about the Pump Street and the 4-storey building. Chair, in the minutes, and I think Councillor McGinley may have brought one part of what I'm going to mention up before, but there's a number of things regarding that original committee meeting, and it says that around 2011 that the building ceased to operate as a convent and had largely been vacant since this period. Around the time of its last known use, the building was added to HED's Heritage at Risk Register with its condition and degree of risk listed as very poor and critical, respectively. So I take it that that's around that time, 2011. My question would be, and I'm by no means an expert in this, that 2011 it was last used and it was very poor and critical. What work or mitigating measures were taken if that was listed like that then? The second part is that, and I think that I could be wrong, but I think Councillor Emma McGinley brought this up. 3.11, it goes, the building owner submitted a listed building consent application on 8th October 2025, seeking partial controlled demolition of unsafe structure. The planning department carried out consultations on the proposed works. HED responded on the 10th October 2025 and requested further information related to the reinstatement of the building on site. The requested information has not been submitted. They did. And if that's accurate, then there's serious questions. What I also want to know if there was a report done to what caused this building to collapse. Was it Storm Amy, or was there works carried out before that, either that could have weakened the building, either deliberately or because listed buildings in this city have a habit of spontaneous combustion, going into fire. And, was there any work that was carried out here? Was like the back windows removed and joists removed that may have weakened the structure? Was there an investigation or anything like that? Indeed, could that have happened?
Mayor, Councillor Donnelly, you've probably asked quite a few detailed questions there. Probably must have brought back a further detailed report on the questions that you answered, but in very broad terms, and I'm mindful that I'm speaking in open business here, but we did serve dangerous structures notice on that building quite some time ago, between 2011 and 2020, something like that. There were a number of dangerous notices served. We can bring back the history of that and the history of what we believe was undertaken as a result of those dangerous structures notices that were served. That should answer much of what you've asked for. And we'll also check out any other information we have and bring that back as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Councillor McGinley, were you indicating on this item?
Yep. Yeah. I had indicated to come on it anyway, but I'll take the opportunity. And I did raise the concerns in relation to the engagement from the private owner with HED at committee. But since then, there's been multiple concerns from businesses on Pump Street. Firstly, in and around safety. There's been break-ins, burglaries. There's concerns there. I've sent Alex through a short proposal. If we can ask the crime prevention officer to engage with businesses and around that area, and also for our community safety wardens to give it a particular focus at this stage. But also, if we as a council can continue, I know there's been engagement with traders in the area, but I know there's been a few planters. There's I think one of the businesses has put out their own benches just to try and make that part of the street that bit more attractive, to try and drive footfall and they increase their business and allow them to operate. Because this has been going on for so long, they have been seriously impacted. So if we can continue that engagement, maybe just prior to the end of the summer to try and help them throughout the summer months, that would be really useful. So there's a wee short proposal there in relation to that, just to support the businesses in and around that area. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor McGinley. Councillor Murphy, you want and then on the same item?
Just want to second that proposal. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I again would appreciate more notice on on the pop-ups that are coming in front of me, but it is very basic what's being asked here. So I am, as long as there isn't any dissent in the room, I'm happy to accept this proposal. And I just want to put on record as well as mayor that I have been engaging with the business involved, with the owner involved, and I also will be meeting with the businesses at the end of this week to see what support that I can give them as mayor. So it is something I'm personally very passionate about, heritage or buildings. So it's something that will always be at the front of my radar going forward. So if there's no dissent on that proposal, I will move ahead. Sorry, Councillor Harkin. So can Can I just say as well, see if there's a proposal on the screen, if it's, people can just put in the chat box that they want to speak, because I'm sorry, I can't see your hands up. But Councillor Harkin, did you want to come in on this before I move on?
And fair enough, Mayor. My hand's up before the proposal was on the screen, but that's fine. I put it in the chat box. Look, I totally support the proposals. This has become, it's unacceptable. This street is still looking the way it is. And obviously traders there have been very patient, but they're expressing their frustration right now. So the questions that are being asked of the owners and about how we got in this situation are absolutely right. And I suppose the question is there a timeline for when the street will be reopened, or do we still not know? Because months ago, we were given a guarantee that this work would be completed and the street would be reopened on the other side of the summer. It doesn't seem to me we are anywhere close to that happening. And so it's just to have a city centre street shut down for so long just seems, a profound event. And so is there a timeline for when we think that the street will not have the barricades up, the containers, and where it will be reopened for full public use? Thank you.
Yep, through you, Chair. Members, unfortunately, we do not have a timeline in relation to this. That will be dependent on the owner of the building addressing the current health and safety concerns in relation to the building, which is why the shipping containers are actually in the street. And as the Mayor had said, engagement with both the owner and indeed the traders is ongoing and very, very regular. And certainly as council officers right across the whole council officer team, we have been providing as much support as we can in terms of the traders and the environmental issues, regeneration, and indeed the planning team engaging with the owner and his agent. And indeed, as the Chief Executive alluded to, the building control team as well. So members, we will continue that engagement, but it will be very much dependent on removing the danger in order to ensure that the public safety is maintained. Thanks.
Karen? Okay, so in terms of the proposal on the screen, there's no dissent? No, okay. Alderman Hussey, you had a separate issue within GSP, yep.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm bringing this issue as Chair of GSP. And I'm looking through the minutes and I see updates and reports from various organisations, City Deal update, BDS update, we just talked about an update, reference Pump Street, etc. Members of GSP committee will know that I had asked that all members would receive a copy of the terms of reference for the GSP committee. Within the terms of reference, it states that one of the issues that GSP is to look at is regular reports with regard to the partnership panel. I am not aware, and I've been on GSP for quite some time, that we have had any reports. Maybe somebody can tell me if we have had. And given the constitution of the partnership panel, namely executive ministers, one representative from each council, and I presume that's a member as opposed to an officer, together with NILGA and Solus representation. How is that report system enacted within the GSP committee that lies within our terms of reference? But I don't know how we do it. So, and the reason I'm bringing it now, obviously we're heading into a break. I would like to think that by September, something can be done to ensure that we are fulfilling our remit as that committee. Thank you, Chair. Or Mayor.
No, through you, Mayor, it's a good point raised by Alderman Hussey. I certainly recall that when we received minutes of the partnership panel, we brought them in for information. into governance and strategic planning. I think there were long periods of time when the partnership panel maybe didn't meet. I will check to see the mechanism for those minutes being received by council and subsequently being brought into GSP. But if we receive them and when we receive them, we will from now on definitely bring them in.
Through you, Mayor, I thank the Chief Executive for that reply. Perhaps our representative on the partnership panel could ensure that minutes are coming through to council and thereby through to the appropriate committee. Thank you.
Okay, that's been noted, Alderman Hussey. So we're moving on now to the adoption of the open minutes of the monthly planning committee held on Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2026. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for it, please? Councillor Leonard and Councillor Gallagher. And is there any matters arising from it? No. Okay. The adoption of the open minutes of the reconvened planning committee held on Tuesday, the 9th of July. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Boyle and Councillor Leonard. Is there anybody? Councillor Harkin, is your hand up on this issue or is it up from before? It's up now.
Hi
Okay.
there. Yes, that's up for this issue. Thanks. Yep.
That was on this issue. Yep. No worries.
Yep.
So matters arising from the reconvened planning committee. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's item P124/26, and it's in reference to the paper that was brought to the council or to committee members. The point of that paper, Mayor, was to advise members on the time limits for granting certificates of lawfulness of existing use of development with a specific focus around houses of multiple occupation. And as members are aware, we have had discussions in the chamber about organisations encouraging developers to bypass council planning for HMOs in particular and utilise include, which is very frustrating given the work that we as a council are doing around capping the HMO limit at 10%, but also the work of residents. But it also undermines legislation and so on. So that paper outlined the way it works, and right now there is a 5-year limit, and that limit right now is being used to undermine the effectiveness of the 10% cap, never mind the 30% cap. So in other jurisdictions, Mayor, in Britain, it's a 10-year limit. So what I would like to propose now, off the back of that paper, is that we write to the DFI minister and asking that she consider the introduction of a 10-year limit rather than 5 for Clud in relation specifically to HMOs. Because if we don't do this, this loophole will continue to be utilised and encouraged by developers, and it undermines a lot of work in the council. And Mayor, it's also the case that other jurisdictions already have it at 10 years. So I have a very short proposal that I've just sent Alex, if we can look at that. But this has been an issue that we've been discussing now for quite a while across the chamber.
Thank you, Sean. Alex has just indicated that it didn't come through to him yet. So if you could resend it.
Does he want to send it to me?
Or if you want to send it to myself or John to see if we can get it up.
That should be it through now, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, that proposal is now up on the screen. These are all lucky that this is a recess after this, because you see from September on, I'll not be accepting all these without notice, I'm telling you. So, I've put the warning out on record. But if anybody, we need a seconder for this to start with, and then we also, if anybody wants to come in on it, just indicate. Councillor Donnelly, you are seconding it. Do you want to speak on it as well, or are you happy? Councillor Jackson?
Very good, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Harkin for raising it. No, the issue of cluds is something that is a bone of frustration for many people, but it's also an opportunity as well for people to regularize development that is already taking place. And I have seen some fantastic developments that have been built, whether it is small adaptations to homes or whatever, that have benefited from the mechanism that's afforded through clubs. But there's a difference in relation to houses of multiple occupation, because it's not always as evident from the first few weeks or months when it's operational. For residents, like if somebody erected an extension to a property, residents around there would all automatically know what's happening. But for a house of multiple occupation, it's not always as evident from day one, and it can be more difficult. So there is merit in that extended period. They permit that use being regularized, and 5 years does seem quite short, and we have seen the number of clubs coming through within our council area. So it's certainly something that we would support the exploration to extend that, because the process for any change of use application should be through the planning system, should be through the submission of an application, and for it to be assessed, and for, most importantly, neighbours to be notified. And a club takes that right away from residents. So there's the HMOs are different because, as I said, it's not as evident from day one, and there is certainly merit for a different of approach in relation to the club process and that. So on that basis, we're more than happy to support the proposal.
Councillor Jackson and Councillor Minnick.
Thank you, Chair, and just to speak on the motion by Councillor Hargan, obviously, from the outset, we would have no issue supporting it. There are probably a couple of issues that spring to mind, I suppose, and given the fact that the actual discrepancy between different jurisdictions, usually in England and Wales is apparently 10 years, and here it's 5 years. But I suppose I don't know why the Assembly, when it was going through all those years ago, why they settled on 5 years. I don't have that answer, but I must look on it. But that would be probably one issue anyway. I suppose the other fact would be, given the fact that the clubs are, I suppose, as Councillor Jackson pointed out, principally a regularisation mechanism under the Act. But obviously the issue here has been taking the HMOs and the effect that the clubs are having within the city and planned applications. But we would have no issue with in principle with that motion and seeing how it pans out. I suppose it's clubs are under the Planning Act. It's a primary piece of legislation. So obviously the minister made a bit of work to do if he or she was inclined to support such a direction. But in principle, we have no issue, and we'll obviously see how far it goes. But thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Minnick. Councillor Cusack?
Just want to say I'm happy to support.
Carmarket. So there isn't any dissent in the room or online on that, so I'm happy to let that proposal go ahead. And if there isn't anything else from the open minutes, of the reconvened planning committee held on Tuesday the 9th. I'll move on. No. Okay, so the agenda item number 13, adoption of the open minutes of the monthly Business and Culture Committee held on Tuesday the 14th of July. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for it, please? Proposed by Councillor Heaney, seconded by Councillor Farrell. Are there any matters arising? Councillor Hussey?
Thank you, Mayor. 117, the Town of Culture, and I would join with Councillor Hart in congratulating officers on the achievement of having Strabane shortlisted for Town of Culture, and I believe that means now that there's intensified work in developing that proposal. Can I just state that I hope that in developing that proposal, we are proactive in outreach across the entire spectrum of culture that would exist in Strabane and its surrounding area. And I think most people will know what I mean by that. Thank you.
I would assume that would be the case anyway, Alderman Hussey, but that's noted. Councillor Cusack?
Thank you, Mayor. It's BC 12726. The paper refers to response to motion 241OC 24. As we know, 24 relates to the year of the proposal or motion, but there's no mention of the motion which I proposed in 2021, and the officers would be quite aware of that. And this motion, not to discredit any other motion, is the one which instigated this project. So it's a bit disappointing that that's not mentioned. And can that be mentioned for context, and can that be rectified? Also, as an idea I'm very passionate about, I'm really glad and delighted to eventually see that there is progress being made on what is, I believe, will be a game changer for the city and district, and how we can entice and encourage more film and broadcast industry. We can't depend, as I said before, we can't depend on the successes of Derry Girls and the Few going forward. We need to entice more, we need to entice better, and we need to encourage film and broadcast industries to see us, to come to us, and we need to be able to facilitate them. So I know we've had a number of failed starts with the website which never launched, but I'm glad to see that this initial motion, which requested council adopt a proactive approach by creating a dedicated film office, an officer within council to work with local providers and outside media and the film industry, is eventually now en route to becoming a tangible reality. So I think congratulations after 5 years. I don't want to preempt anything, but I'm saying congratulations to where we have arrived so far. And I'm really looking forward to the official launch in November and hoping that it bears a lot of fruit for this city and district. Thank you.
Councillor Cusack, and I do recall multiple times you raising that in here in the chamber. I know it's something you're very passionate about, so thank you. Is there any other matters arising from Business and Culture?
Mayor.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Alderman Kerrigan, I see you now. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, Mayor, I preempt you there. I knew you would find me on the list. No, just in relation to the issue there, 12726 that Councillor Cusack has raised there, and apologies, I wasn't in a position to attend the Business and Culture meeting to raise it. That was in for open for information, and it is interesting. There's a lot of detail in it, and in regards to the work that has been done. I just would have a concern in regards to the potential changing of the name. I mean, I've looked through the website and looked into the foil screen and the cross-border films in Ireland, as it's referred to, and even the imagery that they've got across our city and district, you know, with images of the city, but then as well the bridge in Sion Mills, and Newton Stewart plays a part in it as well. So I can't complain too much then. But we've missed out Castlereagh, but we've not got too badly in it. But it's the focus on it there, and I think the potential changing it to the Derry screen or whatever it would be, taking it back into the city, whereby I think the foil links into better across the full council area. And I know there was some sort of that it could be marketed better, but even, Mayor, in your opening remarks, there were very positive comments in regards to the Foil Cup and the success, the international success that event has, and it carries the Foil name. whereby with the linking in the Foyle parliamentary constituency, but also the River Foyle running down the length of Staban. And we're not going to maybe call it the Foyle and Daird, but it's the case of, I still think that there is reference that I don't feel that the Foyle name can be looked at. And if there is a push to change that be brought in again, because that was only open for information at the last meeting, but be brought in for a decision and to be looked at a future business and culture meeting. Thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me in.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Happy to come in, back in that. I mean, the one thing we have to be considerate of, there is the Foyle Film Festival, and we can't have any confusion between that and what we're trying to do in terms of promoting film for the city and district, but happy to look at it in future papers we brought back.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Councillor Harkin.
Thanks, Mayor. It's item BC 12126, and it's just a short point about the tourism action plan and the previous one. And look, there was a lot of discussion about the growth of tourism for the district, but in the paper, even though good jobs is listed as one of the core objectives of the tourism action plan, there was actually no discussion about the jobs. There was growth in the jobs, but there was no discussion about whether or not these were good paying jobs with good terms and conditions for the workers that are in them. And I think, given that it's listed as one of the four core goals, there should have been more in the paper about that, about how this was benefiting the people who are in the sector beyond the growth of the sector itself. So I think that that's an omission that should have been included, because we need to see if these are good paying jobs that are making people's lives better. Because there can be sections of economies, and unfortunately tourism is one of them, where they're low wage sectors. And unfortunately, as everybody in this district knows, our district is still well known for being a lower paid, many workers have lower wages. So can I ask officers to ensure that in future assessments of the tourism action plan, that some consideration is given, an analysis of the types of jobs, because we can't list good jobs as a core objective if we're not actually discussing them. And can I ask as well if officers can give their opinions on this that could have been included in the paper, and is that something that we can have a short report on off the back of this as well? Because if we're going to list good jobs as a core objective, it should then be analysed as much as everything else. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Harkin, Stephen has taken note of that there now, so that'll be looked at. Other matters arising from B&C, will move on to the adoption of the open minutes of monthly Environment Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, the 15th of July. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Farrell and Alderman Hussey. Are there any matters arising from Alderman Gay? Yep.
Mayor, it's under ER 173/26, the reinstatement of the summer bedding programme in rural towns and villages. Now, I know everybody in rural towns and villages, like their villages, they look the best they can and brighten up and so on, but on the water side, we also like that as well. There's 3 beds in the Limavady Road from St. Colum's Park, Hunton Park. They were supposed to be taken away at one stage, the way the ones at the top of Brown and Drive were, but nothing ever happened to them, and they just lay in weeds. Now, the weeds were taken out, everything was taken out of it, and they've basically come back and filled them with compost again, but nothing else has been put on it, and it's just all weeds again. Will there be bedding plants put in there this year, or what? Because one minute they're going and then the next minute they're working with them again, and we're sort of...
Through you, Chair, members certainly can look into that. My understanding is that that infrastructure is actually owned by DFI, and our team have been liaising with them, so I'll provide an update to you on that. Thanks.
Any other matters arising from E&R?
Mayor, it's Councillor Riley here. Sorry, put in the chat box just on the same issue that Councillor or Alderman Guy had raised. But I appreciate Karen has given an answer. It's my understanding as well as Karen has indicated that it's the Department for Infrastructure. I've been in touch with them around that issue as well, around trying to improve it because it is unsightly as Alderman Guy has outlined. So I look forward to getting the report back from Karen in due course. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, no problem. Councillor Riley and Councillor Gallagher.
ENR, and just to know the best place you bear me indulgence, Mayor, but my boy in illegal dumping, but it's come to my attention over this last while, there's a lot of illegal dumping going on in Strabane, domestic waste getting dumped over the flood wall. And I would really appreciate maybe if council could take a look on it, put up some signs around illegal dumping, possibly looking at environmental health, because it is doing serious damage to the river. There's very low water, and it's lying there, and it has the potential to deplete the fishing in the river. So if we could possibly look at it, I had a word earlier with Karen. Very much appreciate it.
Through you, Chair, members happy to take that on board and engage with enforcement and environmental health.
Yep, no problem. Councillor Donnelly.
Good. Chair, ER 170/26. It's not a proposal or anything, but I'm just wondering as regard to invasive alien species management update, and it's the report, the update members and the current measures to manage it. I was just wondering if there's any way that we could publicize this in the website on these species, because there has been, I've noticed a huge rise in Himalayan balsam, and to my whatever lack of knowledge, I actually thought that it was a good thing. It is this big purple flower and the bees loved it, but I soon found out the next year that it just takes over. So I think if we could do something to put that out more to the public of the dangers and what they look out and what they do should they come across it would be a good thing. Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Chair, members happy to take that on board. I know we did follow in the committee do some on other invasive species, but we're happy to extend that to others.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Donnelly. Is this on this item because there's somebody else indicating there?
Similar, but it's following on really from some of the comments from Alderman Guy. Thank you. Alderman Guy there had referred to the beds being left and being taken over by weeds. The same is happening on many of our streets. Now, obviously, this council has a policy of not using weed killer. I forget the name of the dross, something fit or whatever. And it's having a major impact on the street scene throughout, particularly the smaller settlements, etc. Can we have a report brought into the next E&R committee as to how council are now dealing with that problem, given that they cannot use appropriate weed killers at the same time as road service can? I just don't understand that. So if we can have a report on the differentiation of where road service are responsible for and where council are responsible for on the street scene throughout our communities. Thank you, Mayor.
Bring an update report in.
Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Mayor. It's item ER 172/26, also my boy. And look, I just wanted to thank council officers for facilitating the meeting yesterday with the DERA Minister. And I know we had some discussion here and there was frustration about the original lack of invites to councillors. But look, I thought it was a useful engagement yesterday, and it was positive that the Minister said in the future, when he has something to update us with, he will issue a broader invite to party representatives, or councillors across the chamber. And look, I came out of that meeting with a similar feeling from previous engagements, that there's still a lack of clarity around the timeline for the remediation. There's still a lack of clarity for the funding and how much it will cost. So, you know, there is still those massive concerns that everybody will have, and stakeholders and campaigners will have. He did discuss, and councillors were able to put to him directly their concerns about the state of the site and its use, and hopefully that will you know, lead to more immediate action, so that then concerns are addressed. One thing positively, at least for me, that came out of the meeting was that the minister said that he would support and work with the Public Health Agency on a health impact assessment for the residents who live around the vicinity of Maboy. Now, this is something that residents have been calling for, given there's concerns about, you know, cancer clusters in other parts of the north, and there's been health concerns around this area. So I think that the meeting, if it was useful for anything, I think it was very positive that the minister said he would support that, and that they would work with the PHA to move that forward. So, you know, I think that this is it was a useful meeting for councillors, and I'm glad that it was able to happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harkin. And Alderman Kerrigan, I see you've indicated there as well online.
Yeah, yes, Mayor. Thank you for allowing me. And I do apologise that due to the PCSP meeting running over, didn't get to the Maboy meeting yesterday, and I know that had to be changed a few times. But just sorry, Mayor, to reference back to the issue raised by Alderman Guy and further touched upon by Alderman Hussey. I do thank the council officers for the work that was undertaken, because there was a lot of work undertaken in Castleberg, and there is that difficulty, you know, in the run up there to Monday 13th of July, and council officers and the EFI did come in, and there was a lot of work done in tidying up around the town. But there is the issue that, as touched upon by Alderman Hussey, that our council policy is not to use pesticides, and therefore the removal of weeds is going to be more time take additional time and additional person power, so we put it that way, in regards to do that work. I'm trying to keep myself right there, Mayor. And it's the situation, though, as far as I'm concerned, is we are we are doing additional works that do not fall within our remit, that works that DFI effectively let us do because they don't have the resources. So it's taken a wee bit extra for us. So I do feel it's something that we really should be pushing back to DFI, and there are certain issues that, with the restraints that are on council, that we're taking on work that we don't have the resources to look at. And really, I do think we do have to, and I say I'm content enough for that being dealt with at the next DNR meeting, but we're going to have to really push back of what is within our responsibility and what extra works are we actually carrying out that we are not obliged to carry out, but we're doing it because we've historically done it for a period of time. Because I think we have to sort of look at that and try and put the pressure on DFI to actually carry out the maintenance work on their own ground and on their own assets. Because I mean, even the bridge in Castleberg, I had two individuals who commented on the poor state of benweeds, a foot and a half high, growing out of the bridge, and they landed in at 5 o'clock one morning, spent 2 hours cleaning the bridge. You know, and I mean, that was nobody from any organisation, but that was just two members of the community, not even living in the town, who came in and cleaned the bridge, and so they shouldn't have had to do that. You know, so it's that sort of frustration. I do thank council for the work they did undertake, and very much appreciate it. But you know, I think it's DFI does need a touch on this, and we need to be seeing what is our responsibility and what's not. Thank you very much for allowing me in, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. I don't see. Oh, sorry, Councillor Loke.
I wasn't going to come on this issue, but I had a recent project ongoing around Jacqueline Way in Nullamount area of our Murdy, where it was just Tuesday, so it was yesterday, where I had meetings with DFI, Triax neighbourhood management team and council, and there was a joint piece of work done in that whole estate. And I just want to thank all those involved. but the value of partnership working, especially when it comes to weeds and who owns what and whatever, I just think that's the way forward. So it was a bit of work getting it organised, but I just want to thank those involved, including council and the FI, and of course Triax Neighbourhood Partnership. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Logue. I'm sure my wee mother-in-law will be delighted too. So moving on to the adoption of the open minutes of the monthly Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 16th of July. Are there any, or sorry, proposer and seconder for that, Councillor Hutton and Alderman Montgomery? Are there any matters arising? Councillor Duffy online?
Thank you, Chair. Just under HC 18926 on the United Against Racism. Just on a relating matter to that, recently members might have seen the uptick of racist graffiti, quite concerning in Eglinton, where there has been symbols and slogans that have been written, and it's caused a lot of distress to the community down there, especially such a diverse community. It's just to condemn and call that out. I'm sure other members will join me on doing so, and to ask council to work with the community hall down there in Eglinton and be in touch with Debbie and see if there's any assistance that council can offer the community of Eglinton at this time to get cleanup. And I know myself and others have been in discussions with the PSNI as well to try and curb this fascist behaviour. If we could do that, please. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Councillor Duffy, that's been noted. And Councillor Donnelly?
It's just to declare an interest in item HC 193/26 as a member of Creighton Community Collective. Thank you.
Okay, Garmilga, Councillor Donnelly, and online we have Councillor Alderman Lynch, sorry.
Mayor, thank you for letting me in. I had to stop speaking the last time due to terrible feedback, but hopefully you can hear me now. Just on behalf of the DUP and as a Faughan representative, I am so disappointed by the vandalism and anti-Semitic graffiti that has appeared over the last number of weeks in Eglinton. Having been contacted by a member of people from the village, it is clear that they are rightly disgusted by this very unwelcome behaviour. Our party has worked on this on all levels, and I have been working closely with Julie Middleton, MLA, on this very issue. Julie has received an update from DFI advising that they are going to clean and paint over all of their infrastructure that has occurred on this matter of urgency. I am aware that police investigations are also ongoing, and that Julie has also contacted a director within council asking for an urgent joint up approach to ensure that this is stamped out. Whilst this unwanted attack on Eglinton must be condemned by us all, we also need to work to stop the graffiti that is present across all the areas of the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lynch. Okay, so there doesn't
Mayor.
seem to be. Councillor Duffy?
Sorry, Mayor, thank you for letting me back. And just for Councillor Lynch there, the graffiti may seem anti-Semitic, but when it's also written beside it, whites out and National Front, I think we're looking at a different issue. Thank you.
Okay, Garmilga. Councillor Duffy? Just, Councillor Tierney just wants his attendance recorded there as well. So, Health and Communities then, are there any other matters arising from Health and Communities? No.
So, Mayor, can I just remind members at point HC 19326 advice programme update? The nominations to Leifer Ask and Craig and Community Collective were to be confirmed here at full council.
So, sorry, we're making nominations. Did you say sorry? Yep.
What way are you going to roll the hunt?
Well, just it's 5 members to each of the 2 boards. So generally speaking, it crosses the parties and an independent, but I'm happy to come back to it if you wish.
Chair, the process is through the hunt. And it's, if we're going to move away from the hunt process it should apply the same to the other advice sector that we nominated onto at the AGM.
Through you, Mayor, we're happy to take that offline, have a look at it. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Mayor, for clarification, what's the subject?
The subject is the advice programme update at HC 19326, nominations to the boards of Leifer Ask and Craig and Community Collective advice organisations.
Thank you for the clarification, Mayor.
Okay, so that's been taken offline. So if there's anything else from the monthly health and communities, Alderman McMorris, were you wanting to come in and under health and communities with?
It was just regarding that same matter, Mayor, so I'm happy to take it offline as well. So I would have nominated myself as being on Health and Communities, but yeah, no bother, we'll refer back to it.
Okay, thank you, Alderman McMorris. Okay, moving on to the adoption of the minutes, open minutes of the Special Planning Committee held on Monday, the 20th of July, 2026. Can I get a proposer and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Boyle and Alderman Montgomery. Is there any matters arising from that one? No. Okay, so I am going to propose that we take a 10-minute break now before we move into confidential. Seconder to go into confidential, proposed by councillor Minnie, seconded by councillor Hart.